Hello, my children. Come and sit down with me, everyone in the library corner, because I'm about to tell you a tale of legend. This is the very first story that I wrote, the great-grandmother of the rewrite, and any books to come after it. So brace yourselves, grab your ponytails, and brace yourselves to be drawn into this tragic tale. It is not for the faint of heart. It is a story of drama, romance, and bloodshed. Surely, to go down in history, you are going to tell your children about this breathtaking story I got for you here. The title, Flame Beats Acid. Do not be fooled by the nonsensical title. This is the Old Testament. I wrote this when I was 8 years old and only remembered it now. So now I am determined to make you die inside, as I have after rereading this gripping novel. It is a Transformers fan fiction centered around myself, insert Mary Sue, Razorflame. Now, I'm not going to read the entire thing, just the best of what 8-year-old me had to offer. So, without further ado, take my hand, grab your story-eating gloves, and take my hand and be ready to have your mind indulged in this piece of literature. Ready to have your mind blown by this true masterpiece. Because I'm about to put sounds in the air from my mouth that goes into your ear and puts things inside your head that you will never be able to erase. Here we go. The story begins in the most logical place, a volleyball match. There's nothing to note here except the names and descriptions of the cast, delicately woven into a very not jarring or distracting way. No, sir, this is the work of a master. Also, Cliffjumper is there for some reason, even though I'm pretty sure that he's dead. But don't question it. Do not question the word of a master author. This author's world has no death in it. That's just how good it is. First piece of writing from this novel is presented to you now. She couldn't help overhear Ratchet saying something, so she listened as she reached for the old windshield to put it in the trash. We have a call from the good Decepticons of a strange Insecticon that called herself Acidity. Suddenly, the old windshield broke in her hands as she crushed it in anger. What did you say? She started forward. Acidity? He said nervously. She advanced rapidly to the computer and peered at it. After a few silent seconds, she burst out, transforming, and blasted fire at the roof. Also, side note, she's a Predicon, because of course she's a Predicon. Razor had never felt more angry in her life. The anger swelled, and she burst out and crashed around, smashing things and swinging her tail in a rage, because people are just allowed to do that if they're mad. Then B tried. Here we go. The beautiful, subtle, romantic plot here. B grasped her shoulder and said, "Please, we can't understand you like that. We want to help." He looked her in the eyes, and she looked back, and immediately stopped. She transformed and said, "Okay, we have to go find and smash her to the ground. She is a danger to everyone," and stomped her foot. Our story is off to a great start here. There are some compelling narratives, and you have been surely hooked. You are on the edge of your seat to see where this story will go. Okay, so we're in the next scene now, a true masterpiece, and you must read it. Here it is. Razor jumped out and looked around on high alert, listening for Acidity. All of a sudden, a blur of metal smacked into Razor and flung her to the ground. Razor flared up in fury and hatred and blasted lasers at the woman-bot figure on top of her. It screeched and transformed into a scorpion and jabbed its stinger at Razor and crawled out of the way of her shots. Where are the lasers coming from? Razor transformed beast and flung fire at the scorpion. It saw the other bots coming out. Look, the furious look in... That's a very bad grammar right there. Bots coming out looked at the furious look in Razor's eyes and started to dig at the ground, flinging soil everywhere. This is definitely not just Arachnid, okay? This is a completely original villain. I didn't copy Arachnid. Arachnid copied me! Acidity was gone down the hole. Razor crashed around in a rage and roared at the sky. She saw the others and looked down the hole and funneled a blast of fire down it. Kinky. A cackle of laughter rose from the hole. I didn't know that was a noise I could produce. Okay, on to the story. And Razorflame roared down the gap. She got ready to climb down and kill that wretched scorpion, but B said, "Don't. You might get hurt." Razor stopped It was like a bucket of water dumped over her flames of anger. She transformed, feeling warm inside from him. "Okay," she said, "but that seemed too quick. I hope she comes back. I want a round 2 so I can beat her to the ground," Razor joked. The next day, the Autobots planned to go and try again with acidity. Bumblebee made sure... Oh yeah, we're inside Bumblebee's point of view for some reason. Bumblebee needed to make sure to get next to Razor. He might need to calm her down again. He suddenly realized that he seemed to have this good feeling when he looked at her, and to feel warm inside of him when she touched him. That's kind of... But he seemed to strongly love... It could not be that feeling. Could it? This is one of those things that you really need to think hard about. You need to really get some of that brain juice out to realize that this is a metaphor and how they're in love. It is very subtle and you can barely tell, but you can infer if you read in between the lines that they are so straight for each other. Can you tell? I didn't think anyone would notice. There is no way that anyone could have guessed by now. I'm going to stop. Ratchet powered up the ground bridge and it glowed the strange aura. You know, the strange aura that I don't have to describe. Everyone walked through, but Razor burst through the ground bridge and got her laser ready. Where is the laser coming from? Nothing. She said, "Follow me," and stalked off into the forest. Suddenly, she heard a voice in the trees. "Razorflame, how nice to see you," the voice said slyly. She flared up in anger and shot everywhere. The other bots looked around in confusion and then shot at every rustle of a leaf in a defensive formation. The voice chuckled. Razor trudged through the forest, really trying to keep the dam to block up her thoughts on what acidity did. Razor concentrated on following the slow rumble of laughter from the voice. She spied the gaping mouth of a cave in the clearing. "Gotcha! Revenge time," Razor whispered to herself, as one does. She signaled for the others to follow. "Who made her boss?" Smokescreen asked. She walked to the mouth of the cave on high alert with her lasers at the ready, the lasers that she very clearly has. She poked around for a moment in the cave, looking for any clue of her. Suddenly, a huge metal scorpion lunged out of the darkness, aiming for Razor's neck. "We're getting into a battle scene, guys. Get ready. Grab onto your ponytails harder." Razor flung herself aside and shot at the scorpion's exposed underbelly. It shrieked in fury as the shots made smoking gashes into her underbelly. Razor transformed and flung fire at the writhing scorpion. Soon the other bots heard the commotion and came rushing in to see Razor and the scorpion fighting in a very heated battle. Razor screeched out a roar of fury and sadness. It started to advance on the scorpion, claws slashing like knives. The scorpion shuddered as if it was shifting its skin and transformed into a woman. Razor pinned her down, a triumphant look in her eyes, warmed up her fire, and got ready to shoot. Why is this getting so kinky? Unexpectedly, acidity transformed into her scorpion form and lunged her stinger tail at Razor. This is gonna get age restricted. She barely twisted out of the way when an intense sting shot into her left arm, and she was flung off of acidity with impulsive force. Razor slammed into the hard stone wall, and it was all black. Because the best plot device is unconsciousness. It never fails. Always end the chapter with the character going unconscious. This right here, I'm going to warn you, this is some really subtle writing, and you might not get it at first, but just so you know, Bumblebee is definitely straight. Okay, so now we're in Bumblebee's POV. Bumblebee saw Razorflame on the ground and gasped, thinking, "I have to help her!" Without hesitation, he jumped in front of Razor and blasted at the advancing scorpion numerous times. It doubled backwards and saw all the bots and skittered into the depths of the cave. "Whoa, it's gone," assumed Smokescreen as he ambled in. 'Cause he's so funny like that. Bee saw the sting on her left arm and felt a strong amount of worry. That's so descriptive. A strong amount of worry. That other warm feeling for the beautiful Prediking. With all of them, they got her up easily. Ratchet, we need an emergency ground bridge, now, he yelled through the comm link. Ooh, we get the chapter ended at a cliffhanger right here. This is some nice cliffhanger juice that you're sucking up, okay? Are you worried for the heroine? She might die. Wait, no, she's alive. Razor shuddered. What happened, she thought. Her eyes fluttered open. She sat up, but then felt a massive amount of throbbing in her arm. Very descriptive. Again, just say massive and it'll work. And plopped down again with a crash, groaning in pain. Easy now, don't move, she heard Ratchet say. She felt something small cut into her arm, and then the pain faded a bit so she could think straight, because she hasn't been thinking straight enough yet, guys. She needs to think more straight. Her vision blurred and started to focus. She saw Claw Swipe. Wait, who's Claw Swipe? I don't know who Claw Swipe is. Claw Swipe, Bumblebee, everyone around the medical bed that she was laying in. What happened, she asked as she started to get up. Ratchet sounded up, and pushed her gently but firmly down. Rest. Now I was going to ask you the same thing. What happened? Well, she started. She still felt drowsy from the numbing medicine Ratchet put into her arm, but Razor managed to get out. I was winning and then she stung me and it hurt a lot. Razor sat up again and said, I have to go back out there and squish that bug. It's not a bug, it's an arachnid. She started to get out of bed. No way, no how, Ratchet said sternly, not in your condition. It's just a scratch, she said, because she's a very strong female character. She is not like other girls. Look how strong she is. She's trying to die. Wait, where was I? Ratchet looked at it. See, it's not all right, Mrs. It's fine. I know you are brave and good because you're so strong. You're such a strong female character. But you can't just ignore a poison sting, even if it's just a scratch otherwise. Razor sighed and laid back down and got a crazy idea. We got some foreshadowing in here, guys. Are you ready to see what crazy idea she has? Well, too bad, because we're going back to Ratchet's POV for absolutely no reason, and then we go back to Razor. So what happens is Razor hears that everyone is asleep now, because people make noises whenever they go to sleep. It's like a da-da-da-da. Because they're robots. Okay, so everyone's asleep, and then she goes to the warp pad, no, not the warp pad, that's the Steven Universe. She goes to the ground bridge, and she opens it up without anyone noticing, and then she notices that she might die, so she goes back, and we get some more of this good romance that you've been waiting for. Okay, so she paused to look at Bumblebee and whispered, this might be goodbye. I just wanted you to know I love you. This isn't creepy at all. She raced through the ground bridge just before it closed towards her mortal enemy. Cliffhanger! Razor leaps down from the ground bridge and crapped. Oh, wait. I think this is supposed to be creeped. Another typo from 8-year-old me. No, it was a very artistic choice. This is something that happened in canon. Okay, so she goes to the cave. She transformed. She wanted to attack the wretched bug first. It was all quiet, but little did she know lots of somethings were creeping up behind her. Foreshadowing, guys. Suddenly, Razor gasped to see Acidity tending to her wounds from the last battle with Razor. She let herself feel pleased that Acidity wasn't doing any better than she was. Acidity was doing a normal healing job, but then she said, attack, and suddenly Razor heard buzzing behind her. She looked around and saw an entire Insecticon hive behind her, just like how Arachnid can do, but don't worry, this is not Arachnid, this is Acidity. It's a very different character. I didn't copy. Do not steal. This is my original character. Okay, their horns were lowered, claws flashing in the moonlight, ready to fight. She transformed for like the 5th time and yelled, scrap, and started to shoot vigorously at all of Acidity's minions. All of them flew at her and shot at Razor. She transformed again and started to jump around the cave like a bounce ball and used the momentum to fling out of the way of those shots, because that's how that works. Forget the Insecticons. Acidity is the real prize, she said as she flung herself at Acidity. Razor barreled into her, a wrecking ball of ferocity. All of her battle instincts kicked in, and she dodged her stings and lunged at her. Razor transformed again and blasted fire at the stunned Scorpion. Acidity glared at her and tunneled underground, just like Arachnid, but don't worry, it's not Arachnid, this is Acidity. Suddenly, she heard a noise on her shoulder. Yeah, she's running away. Razor twisted her dragon head around and saw Kiwi cheering on her back. That's right, guys, I have 2 self-inserts in this story. Razor transformed again and growled, "Hollowhead, what are you doing here?" "Sightseeing. No, I'm watching you fight your mortal enemy," Kiwi said, because she's basically just Miko. No, she's not Miko. This is not Miko. This is a completely original character. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw an Insecticon coming in hot. "Hold on to something," Razor yelled, and without any more warning than that, she transformed into the beast form, because of course she would. What else would she do in this situation? Just transform and all your problems go away. She leaped into it. The Insecticon bucked her off and got smoldered to the ground by her flames. Thousands more came buzzing in and formed a circle around her. It started to close in. This is getting intense. Razor roared in dismay and blasted the first ones in line. They attacked her one at a time, of course. Razor fought for her life, biting, firing, and crushing, but soon there were too many for her to fight. Razor fought long and hard, but soon tired and became weaker and weaker as more Insecticons were able to strike at her. Jab after jab of pain all over her body. She knew she had to get Kiwi out of here. "Run! Get out of here!" She said feebly to Kiwi and flung her onto a ledge out of the Insecticons' reach, even though they could fly. As more Insecticons were beating her up, unexpectedly, all of them stopped and stepped aside. Acidity walked through the path that they made and went up to Razor. The 2 Insecticons closest to her pinned her against the wall at a flick of Acidity's finger. Acidity got close to her face and whispered, "Your spark will belong to me." Why is this getting so kinky? And with one swift motion, transformed and jabbed Razor's underbelly. Razor gasped and peered down to see a huge gash. She felt faint and unable to fight back, and she collapsed to the ground with a clunk. "No!" Kiwi yelled, and Acidity swung around, now in bot form, and said, "And I'll keep you as a prisoner." Oh, wait, no, I didn't do the voice. "And I'll keep you as a prisoner," and picked Kiwi up. "Let her go! No, let me go!" Kiwi yelled, and uselessly batted at Acidity's hand. Razor groaned and whimpered. "Still alive? Well, I'll take care of that," Acidity said slyly. She rose her claws to strike the killing blow. And then we get Ratchet's POV in the middle of all this. And then we go back to Razor, back to the action. It wasn't jarring at all. Okay, Acidity rose her claws. Razor thought, "I'll never see Bumblebee again." Because before she dies, she has to be straight one more time. This is her last chance. She waited for the blow. Suddenly, she heard the ground bridge open and a familiar engine running. "Bumblebee!" she thought as he crashed into Acidity in vehicle mode. Acidity slammed into the far wall and hissed in fury. Bumblebee transformed and glared at Acidity with utmost hatred. Acidity said, "Well, I've got one prize." And the last thing Razor saw before blacking out was Kiwi grasped in her wretched claws, a cliffhanger, and unconsciousness. It can't get any better than this. Now we're back in Bumblebee's head. Bumblebee glared at the She-Bot and blasted multiple times in defense of Razor. At first, she didn't back down, but feeling the immense battle wounds of her own, she noticed that she was too weak to fight and drilled underground in retreat, just like Arachnid, but it's not Arachnid, I swear. Okay, so they drag her in. Then we get another waking up from unconsciousness scene, because those are always special. The more time you do it, the more impactful it is. This is writing 101. Okay, the world was fuzzy and black. "Is she okay?" said a familiar voice. "Here we go, we're about to get some more subtlety. Just pay attention, my children. You might get it if you have 600 IQ. I don't know, but her spark is pumping like a human heart. The venom was weakening it, though. She seems to be clinging on because of someone she wants to see, but I can't think of who it would be. She's so horny she's gonna live." She better be okay. Razor is my life, a familiar voice whispered, so only she could hear. She wanted more than ever to impress that voice, but she couldn't think of who it was. The subtlety. She wanted to fight to the death to see that bot's beautiful, intelligent, loving eyes. Something sparked, a memory, her sitting on the roof with a handsome, brave, loyal bot, her head on his shoulder, what every woman wants. Bumblebee was him. She mentally fought the tiredness. She wanted more than ever to be next to Bumblebee. A strong emotion, love, surged through her. She was remembering more times alone with him, playing, laughing, sharing, loving. This is getting disturbing. She wanted more than ever to see his sweet face. She strained her mind. I have to see him. I have to tell him. Awake! I screamed that because it was in all caps. A small beam of light shone through, and she wanted to wake up somehow. She heard, yes, that's it, follow the light. No, that's not, you're gonna die. As the world reappeared and focused, she sat there for a moment, and then everything came rushing back. Wait, what? She said, and was finally awake. Razor sat up suddenly and looked frantically around and hollered, is Bumblebee okay? Okay, so Bumblebee and Razorflame are really straight for a while, and then we get some more time skips, and Razor's like recovering in bed, and she for some reason completely forgets about Kiwi being kidnapped. Anyway, so they keep on going out there trying to get acidity, blah 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 blah, a bunch of dumb filler. Oh great, okay, so the next scene is me shamelessly pointing out that this is definitely just copying Arcee's story, but no, I'm doing it differently, because instead of a spider, it's a scorpion. It's very original. Okay, so there was something I wanted to ask you about, Arcee said. Why do you hate acidity? At first, Razor reconsidered, but then the dam that stopped her thoughts splintered and broke, and everything spilled out in a gush of thoughts and memories out of her mouth. She killed Rapid! I had to scream it because it was all in all caps. Razor spilled out in a big choking sob. Rapid was my best friend, and she murdered her! Razor wailed, embarrassed and more angry than ever at that wretched bug. All of her memories came flashing into her head. Hang on. Rapid and Razor playing, them laughing next to a fire, them singing together as a family on a summer day, watching up to the stars on a grassy field, always being together, always just gals being pals. And now she's gone. Razor mourned. Arcee breathed. Just like Tailgate. Oh my gosh, I'm not even ashamed of the fact that it's just Tailgate. Okay, just like Tailgate. I know how you feel. She placed her hand on her shoulder. Razor was now sniffling small sobs, grieving for her friend. Soon she calmed down enough to say what happened. Acidity grabbed her in the middle of the night. I saw her, and Razor whimpered again. Shh, it's okay to grieve, Arcee whispered gently to the heartbroken young scout. We got some nice character development here, boys. This is some nice drama going on. She's opening up. This is so original. Okay, so next part is that she remembers that her human friend is taken away. So she decides to finally actually do something about that. Okay, so she, once everyone is asleep, again, just reusing the same plot points because it never gets old, guys. So everyone's asleep, and she goes to the ground bridge, and B notices the great foreshadowing here. Okay, so we got the last fight scene. This is the ultimate showdown right here. This is the climax of this book, the finale. Okay, Razorflame streaked down the cave entrance and into the black depths of the cave. Razor saw a door and beat up 2 Insecticon guards. See how good she is? She's such a good, strong female character. She beat up 2 Insecticons easily. Okay, now inside, she transformed and flared fire at the sleeping figure of Acidity. Ah! she shrieked, being roasted in her sleep. Razor ran out of breath and charged at Acidity, mindless of the pain in her body because she's such a strong female character. See how strong she is. Acidity was too slow to react and was slammed into the far wall and scraped against the rock. Stroke after swipe after blast, she was tearing Acidity apart. Jeez, Acidity flung her off, but she skidded, gripping with her claws, and didn't hesitate to lunge back at her like a mindless monster. This is such an intense fight scene. Are you guys engaged yet? Razor slashed her side and blasted fire in her direction. Acidity was ready this time. She jumped up and fired Scorpion Silk at her. That's a thing that exists. Scorpion Silk. This is not Arachnid. I repeat, this is an original villain. It hit, but Razor shouldered it off because she's just that strong and kept charging at her. Razor pounced and pinned Acidity to the ground, claws poised to strike. Acidity carved with her claws at Razor's underbelly, but Razor didn't feel anything because she's just that strong. She was angry. In case you couldn't tell, it was like acid was eating her heart. She couldn't think of anything but revenge. She raised her claws, ready to end her. And then a voice. No, this isn't you. She hurried from the entrance of the cave. She saw Bumblebee at the entrance. She knew and loved this bot. Subtly, this isn't the bot I knew and loved. I can't see the funny, compassionate, smart, and caring side of you. All I could see is a monster. Flames were defeating the acid just from that great monologue we got. That's some tasty monologuing right there. Flames were defeating the acid that wanted to consume her heart. Flames of love, not hatred. What am I doing? This isn't me, she said as she stared at Bee and then down at Acidity. She transformed and said, I will not kill a defenseless creature in their sleep. Unlike you, she said to Acidity. Acidity spluttered, weak, and choked out, not dead, hostage, and pointed to another chamber with metal doors with a shaky hand. Could it be? Razorflame gasped and gazed over there. She pointed I think it's supposed to be ran. She ran over there. She opened the doors. This is so intense. Are you guys ready to see this reveal? Trembling hands, she reached out in disbelief. It opened, and she saw a familiar face. Rapid! She yelled and quickly undone the bonds on her friend. Hey, what took you so long? Rapid said playfully, because that's her great personality trait. This is what you're supposed to like about her. She's so funny. Razor hugged her tightly. I think your friend is over there. She pointed to a cage where a scared Kiwi was sitting. Razorflame, Kiwi shouted and hugged her best friend. Let's go home, Razorflame said cheerfully. Yo! That was such a climactic scene. Are you satisfied? That was so great. Okay, so the final chapter, wrapping everything up. This great, grand masterpiece of literature is now going to end. I know, it is very sad, my children. Do not cry. Because it is a happy ending. All thanks to Razor. Okay, so they returned back to base and needed to explain who Rapid was and that they got Kiwi back. Optimus had a ceremony for Razor to become a warrior, for her bravery to stand up to vengeance and to let Acidity go this time. Because that's what a warrior is supposed to do, guys. Let all your enemies go so they can hurt you again later. Razor and Bumblebee told everyone their adventure and how Razor defeated Acidity. That proves I am better than her, but she is still my enemy, she said. They both left out that they love each other, but told everything else. Sliceclaw, this very real character, Sliceclaw spent a lot of time chatting next to the lively, likable, funny, and sweet Rapid, just like him. Because everyone knows that you are not allowed to be happy unless if you have a romantic love interest. Hear that, ladies? You need a man. What was it? There it was. The whole base had a volleyball game to party the arrival of the new bot, and Razorflame being a warrior. And then I turn to the audience and tell them the moral of this grand story that you will carry through generations. The acid eating at her heart, that was the acid of revenge. The fire defeating it, as fire does, that was love. Flames of love beats the acid of vengeance. Flame beats acid. Whoa! It all wrapped up and was all fine in the end. Oh yeah, that was a great piece of story right there. I bet you were all so engaged the whole time. The character arcs were perfect, and no characters were copied off of any others. I made them all up by myself. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. Sorry for this horrible video. I just kind of wanted to do this because I remembered about my very first story, and despite the fact that it was bad. It was very bad. But even though it is really bad, I do kind of want to take away from this saying that I'm a pretty good author now. I'm not like perfect, except I've been getting better, and despite how much I might despise this and want to vomit every time that Razor likes Bumblebee, I still think that I should earn a certain amount of respect to it, so this is the respect that I give, just the fact that if I didn't write this, and if my parents didn't grit their teeth and tell me it was good, I would have never written anything else. Like, my heart would have been shattered. So, just so you know, the takeaway from this is, if you're straight enough, you can get over someone killing your best friend, even though they're not dead.